Alright, hello everybody, I'm back. And I now have my steel industry set up. As you can see. What that also means is where I left off last time. You can see my iron trains. I got my little town set up. Over here. It's actually got everything except for university. Store, theater, all that. And what I've got here is 2 ore processing plants and not store export iron. Okay. I actually need 2 because if you look at this, it's actually really important anytime you're setting up an industry in this game. If you have to look at what the outputs are and the inputs. Now you can adjust how many workers you have. Now, for these ones it only takes 15 workers, it doesn't really matter. It's only 105 tons of iron. So if I'm using that for steel, which I think is the only thing you can use iron for, you want to check your steel mill and see what it can use at maximum production. So that means if you have 500 people in here, that's what it's going to be using every day. You're not always going to have, you're barely ever going to get 500 people working constantly. Like, it's just not going to happen. But, you know, so two mining processing centers will make enough iron, assuming you can deliver it, that your factory can run, you know, at full bore constantly. Really, and if you look at this also, the coal is, see, it's almost double the amount. That means you're going to need really probably 4 coal processing. I have 3, which is working so far, but if I get my power plants running at full speed and my steel mill, I run out of coal. So, but I don't think I have room for another processing plant. But anyway, that's kind of important. Also, so now I've got a slightly more elaborate rails system set up. I mean, it's really not elaborate, it's pretty simple. One thing I wanted to mention, a lot of people are having trouble with trains. I would say if you played Transport Fever, you should be able to figure this out. It's similar. It's not exactly the same, but it's similar. When you click and place these signals, the first time you click, it'll put a double signal. When you click again, it'll put a one-way signal going that way. When you click again the other way, or click again, it'll go the other way. And then you can just click the cancel to get rid of it. I've noticed when I have my trains in my stations and I've been trying to use signals, they'll sometimes have a little question mark over them and they just won't go anywhere. Every single time that's happened to me, I've found out later that I had signals in the wrong, like I had one signal the wrong way. So I would say when you're setting up a rail, don't go putting signals everywhere first. Like, wait and just do a few signals at a time, so that if you mess something up, it's easy. You don't have to go back and like delete every single signal or try and figure out where you went wrong. Until maybe you get better at it, and you kind of know what you're doing. The trains still, they have really weird logic. It seems like sometimes just odd behavior. I'll give you another example here. This line here, the train originally came from this depot right here, and it connected here, and I actually managed to get it to use this terminal on the station, and this train was using this terminal. But when this was connected, they wouldn't go in the station at the same time, until I deleted that, and then immediately it would. So if you're having problems with that, maybe try deleting a connection so that it can't. Even though the signals were here and it wasn't going in this side, it's like it. I think somehow I had a block for the whole station. I don't fully understand how the blocks work for this game, but anyway, you can try that. One other thing with the trains is when I first was setting up my trains, when you buy a train, you can buy an engine, like a locomotive, and then a passenger wagon. When I did that, it didn't work for me. It wouldn't pick up workers. It would it'd pick up like 1 worker. If there's 100 workers there, it would pick up like 1 or 2 and leave the rest. And I couldn't figure out what was going on. So I actually tried getting a train set. I just bought a train set, set that, and immediately it started working. So I noticed some people saying that the trains aren't picking people up properly. If everything else seems to be right, and it's just for some reason the train won't, try getting a train set and see if that works for you. That might be an old bug too. Maybe they've already fixed it, but I know early when I set this up, the locomotive with a passenger cart would not work. Oh, and this is actually what I really wanted to show you in this video, was my little, the factory connections. There's some interesting behavior and some tricks to know probably before you set everything up. So I've got the steel mill connecting to a mechanical components factory, connected to an electrical components factory, connected to an electronics assembly hall, connected to a warehouse, and a storage yard over here. So the steel will go from the steel mill into the components factory, mechanical components factory. And then this factory also uses steel. It will pull steel from this middle factory. But it's important to note that this factory, the demand it generates, can't pass through this factory to the steel mill. So it will only pull from the middle factory's stockpile. So you kind of have to be careful and make sure that you have enough steel, if it's, or whatever the product is. And if this factory, for whatever reason, shuts down and has zero stockpile, this factory will also shut down, and it won't pull. I hope they fix that, because it's kind of annoying behavior. Like, it should be able to just pull right through, but for now it doesn't. And so with this connection here, it's kind of the same thing, but in the opposite direction. Both of these factories require plastics. So see, I drop plastic off in this factory, or in this warehouse, and it will pull through both factories. But again, if this factory isn't operating, then it won't work. And yeah, you can see right now, look, no plastics. This thing. Now I don't know why this one why it's not pulling enough plastic through. There seems to be this weird behavior with factories where they don't, like, they only pull in the exact amount they need. Oh, look, and actually it kicked on now. Yeah, I don't know why. It's very odd the way it works. I wish they would pull up and fill all their stockpiles, and then this would all work super smoothly. But I mean, it mostly works. Like, see, now it's working. See, or maybe I dropped some plastic off here. I have a truck delivering plastic to this factory for this exact reason, is I was having problems with it actually pulling all the way through. So now I drop it off here and then drop the excess off here. But this factory also will be able to pull from here. So, and then the last thing I wanted to mention with this is, see, I have this open storage here. It can store steel. My plan was that any excess steel I had, I could just sell it. But the warehouses and the stockyards, they will only pull an output from a factory that is directly connected to them. So this stockyard actually won't be able to do anything because you can't store mechanical components in it. But it will not pull the steel. Even I had a train here trying to pick up steel, and I had both of these factories completely full of steel, and it would not pull it. So, and likewise, this factory, even though it can store electronic components, it will not, even if I have a full amount, it will not pull the excess through this factory. I guess they only pull outputs. I suppose that would be really annoying if the warehouse was constantly pulling the mechanical components out of this factory, but it's almost like you should be able to set what the warehouses and stuff do, like allow pass through or don't allow it. But anyway, for now, that's kind of how it works. You can, I would say, I think I had the chemical plant down here set up. My little setup here. You don't always really have to worry about doing the direct connections. Like these ones, they have such low amounts. Like I set up this gravel processing thing, and I had this whole elaborate plan. I was like, oh, it's going to be so efficient, but it only uses half a ton of gravel every day. So you really just don't need a conveyor belt going directly into it. You can just have a truck. Like I think I have one truck delivering food, or the crops to all three of these, and one truck delivering the wood to all of them, and it easily keeps up. So you don't always have to worry about the direct connections. It's not the end of the world if you don't have it. You just put a truck. Now, obviously, for stuff like the steel mill, where you're using, 300 tons of coal every day, you need to have a conveyor or a train. There's no way you can do it with trucks. It's just not possible. So you definitely have to look at the amount. Same thing with the refinery. If you really have a proper operation set up, you need these. I think I mentioned last time that you need these fuel loading stations. The trucks just can't keep up, so you're really gonna have to use trains. Oh, but this station comes with rails anyways. So that's kind of relevant when you're thinking about how you're setting up your industries, like what the outputs are. Like, do you actually need a train for it? Because if it's a low output factory, you don't really need to worry about it. Like clothes. I mean, this thing at full tilt is only producing 1.2 tons of clothes a day. You could easily, you could have 4 factories and like one truck could probably handle it. Because it can also store 7 tons. Alright, there was one other thing I wanted to talk about, and that was if you go into your population statistics and you look at the adult children over 21, my understanding is that these guys don't work. And I think they said in the new patch that if they're over 30 years old, they'll leave the country. You get these, where is that statistic? Escapes, there we go. I think they'll just flee the country as soon as they hit 30 years old and they're still living at home because there's no housing available. What you can do about that, see, if you click on a house and you click on this tab here, it'll tell you how many there are. There's 129. Now they don't actually take up a spot because these people all live there. These guys are just sharing rooms, but I don't think they work. I'm trying to like jump to one. See, but they'll use up they'll go to your grocery stores, they'll go to the cinemas, they'll use your facilities, but they don't do anything. So they're kind of just a drain on the economy. What you can do about that, if you have a house nearby within walking distance, they'll automatically move to any open spot. Now, of course, when you have a built-up area, that's kind of a problem. Like you have no option of building any more houses. So what you can do is just use this relocate tool. I think I was on this one that had a bunch. Yeah. You can use this relocate tool and you just click it and hover over any house, and if it's green, that means you can move in. There's room, and if it's red, there's no room. So you don't really have to fiddle around with it too much. And what I like to do is just, not much room in there. It'll always pull the adult children living at home first. So you can kind of safely do this. And what I like to do actually is empty out this house a little bit too, because watch, as soon as I hit the speed on, it'll start filling up, because in this old neighborhood, all the other houses have a bunch of people. It'll probably fill right up. Yeah, I could probably do that to another house in that neighborhood, and the same thing would happen. I still have 2,900 people, almost 3,000, doing nothing. So that's kind of how you can do that. And like I said, if you kind of pick 1 or 2 houses in a neighborhood and do it too, then you don't need to go on every single house and pull the kids out. I hope they fix that later and make it so they just move into any available spot, but for now that's how it works. And there was one last thing they just changed. It used to be, now they have to be 15 before they can go to college. The kids finish their education in this game super, super quick. So I used to be, when I first started, I was going crazy about making sure like this. I'd be like, oh my god, all these kids that can't go to school, so they're not gaining education right now. So I would build another school. But if you have enough spots for all the possible students, they'll all be done their primary school by age 12. And then they can't do anything until they're, I don't know what age they can start working. Maybe it's 18 or 16, I'm not sure. But, now they can't go to college until 15. So you don't really need to worry about trying to get a school spot for every single kid, because you have a kind of a window there where like a window where they're not going to be doing anything anyways. So don't go crazy with schools. Like look at this. I got all these schools and now they're pretty much all empty. And I before the patch, I just had it like all my colleges were full of 12-year-olds. The other thing is I had these halls of residence, and they used to be full when I didn't have enough housing. But again, I think the students will only move into these when they're old enough to live on their own. So if you have a 15-year-old going to college, I don't think they use these. So I don't know how, but I guess it would depend on your demographics if those would be useful. But I believe, again, like the houses, when they finish their studies, so you click on it, it'll have this many, and you click on this tab and it shows you how many people in here have completed their studies and are looking for somewhere to live, they'll auto move out in walking distance. Otherwise, they just sit there, and you have to specifically tell them where to go. But that's definitely, like, if you're struggling early on, I mean, I started in 1970 in this game, so it's only 4 years, but yeah, you can see if you don't really take into that account, you're gonna have a lot of people. I mean, before I realized that, most of my houses had, 100 kids, or 100, yeah, kids living with their parents, not working. And I think I talked about the refinery the last time. People were talking about having trouble. I do a refinery, pump, tank, pump, fuel offloading. I don't know if you need both of these pumps, but I know when I didn't have like either one of them, and it would load, but very, very slowly. The pump seems to just make it like load faster. Like it'll fill up this tank and it fills up the station faster. So they take up such a small amount of space. I think it's worth it to put them in. I guess I could delete them and test it and see it, but I was like, I didn't really care. I got plenty of room. But anyway, that's my little setup here. I don't think there's anything... Oh, I built these... it's a radio station and a TV station. It looks like it just gives you happiness, culture, and you can change. I don't really know how they work. Like, if I turn this up, will it make them... Yeah. Anyway, I'll fiddle around with that. I mostly got this because I wanted jobs. I have all these unemployed people. Actually, look at that. It's dropping. I guess my iron industry's doing the trick. And for people having trouble with money, again, the oil industry is a good way to... Where do I see my exports? Oh, right here. Yeah. Yeah, $470,000. Was that? Oh, that was for last month. I was like, on the 2nd of December, 2 days in, I've made that much money? Crazy. Yeah, so I'll make maybe almost 7 million in 1 year. That's pretty much all from oil, exporting oil, and these mechanical components. I don't really export a lot of other stuff. So every once in a while, if my electronics get really full, I'll maybe pick a load up because they're worth quite a bit of money. Or the alcohol. I should probably set that train to do that right now. But that's how you can make money. You kind of have to like just pick a high value resource. Like you have a truck selling bricks, but they're not worth anything. I think if you could find the truck carrying it, because it tells you the value of what they're carrying. And yeah, it's like nothing. It's like $200 or $300. Like it's garbage. You don't make any money doing that. So I wouldn't waste your time trying to export, low value items. But the oil industry is nice because it's all the pumps and everything you just need electricity and the connections, and the only thing you need labor for is the refinery. So it's just one place to bring workers, and if you get a lot of oil wells connected, it makes a lot of oil, and you can make a lot of money from it. It's a bit tricky to set up, but it's really not that hard. The pipe, I like I think I mentioned this last time too. Yeah, the oil pipes are really, really easy to lay out. Like, and you can do the nice tight curves and everything. It's really annoying when you are playing around with the pipelines and then you switch back to roads and you're like, it's so finicky. Or the rails, especially. There was one other thing I wanted to show you, and I forget what it was. Well, I guess Oh, this is... Apparently, I don't know if this is true or not, people will not get on a station here, or get on a train here at this station, ride down, and switch trains here. I don't know if that's true or not, but this is what I've heard. If that's the case, I don't know how I'm gonna get these workers down here. I would have to build a direct connection. That seems kind of goofy. Hopefully not, because really, you see this station fills up with workers a lot. Like this train here is pretty often like going when it goes to the steel mill. It's pretty often like full, like completely full. Yeah, and as it gets closer, you see it'll probably be carrying 300 workers. This guy carries 400, so you can't move that many people with buses. It's just not going to work. If you look at the bus stations, yeah, and you can see it. Like it's got a couple buses gets all jammed up. But watch, even see this bus won't go in until this bus completely clears the station. And they'll sometimes pick a spot. You know, even if like this spot's open, sometimes this bus will wait for that spot. And I don't know what logic they have for how they decide what terminal to use, because you can't set it when you yeah, see, you'll wait for both of them to clear. Yeah, so you can see this. Look how slow this is. It's terrible. So I hope they fix that, because this is not good. There's just no way that you can... I mean, I guess I need to get rid of some of these buses, but you can see that it's just the way they... And like only one will, like each... One will enter, one will exit, and they have to wait for the whole bus to clear the entire station before another one goes in. It's just not a very effective way to move people. Large amounts of people, anyway. I'm really not sure about this train. It's kind of an afterthought, because I had a problem with all the 12-year-olds in school clogging up the station, which they still are. For some reason, the students still go to the train station and just hang out, I guess. Because all of these, you can see, they have the education levels 1.0, so they have their basic education, so they can't even... I guess they'll have to switch that. Like 12-year-olds shouldn't be going anywhere. Alright, well, I think that is pretty much everything I wanted to show you, so that is it for today.